Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much. For today's video, I would like to wish Tun Dr. Mahathir happy birthday. And I would also like to talk about why I respect Dr. Mahathir as a Malay leader in this country. Of course, if someone were to ask me who my favorite politicians are, I would always say On Jaafar and Tun Dr. Mahathir. And of course, Tun Dr. Mahathir comes first to me because I have lived through his entire career, mostly with regards to politics and other matters. Now, why is it that I respect Tun Dr. Mahathir? Despite the fact that if someone were to ask me, would you trust him to lead the country again? And I would definitely say no. But that doesn't mean that I do not respect many of his qualities that I have known when he became Prime Minister and that I had supported and I also been inspired with. Now, first of all, I respect Dr. Mahathir because he does not really show that he is a Malay first, second and last. Now, some people will criticize me in saying that, well, don't you hear that Mahathir said that Malays must unite, Malays must be under payung Melayu, that sort of thing. Well, to me, those are just political strategy. But we can see how Tun Dr. Mahathir showed that he does not put race first because he could work with the DAP when Pakatan Harapan took the government in 2018. Again, in the 2018 coming up to 2020, Tun Dr. Mahathir was instrumental in actually trying to destroy totally UMNO by getting UMNO people to come into his new party called Bersatu or PPBM. That shows that Mahathir does not depend on a sort of a single race identity. Mahathir is Mahathir. You can throw him anywhere and he can survive. That is the sign of a man who lives beyond certain kind of accidental identity or race-based politics. Secondly, I respect Dr. Mahathir after reading many of his books, as well as one of his books on his biography or autobiography, Doctor in the House, where he is a person who works very hard. He has a very single-minded work ethic, and he is known in a large cartoon for putting in the punch card, meaning that he believed in a very strong work ethic. And we could see that he would even go to the ground. One of the stories that I read when he was the Deputy Prime Minister, to actually see the problems in, say, a factory. And he would study it, go to the ground, talk to people, and then come up with the solutions. There was even a story that says that he would check the lamppost and look at the problems of why the lights on the traffic would be not working. And there were also stories from the Pakatan Harapan ministers who says that when Mahathir bring out his little black book and then calls out any ministers to ask something, then you better be on your toes because he can actually micromanage certain things. It doesn't mean that he is someone who doesn't trust, but it means that he is aware and very sensitive to the needs of the infrastructure for the people and all that. Now, the third thing that I admire about Dr. Mahathir is that he can work with anybody. We have seen how Dr. Mahathir had worked with Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim for the sake of bringing down Najib. And of course, after that, he engineered so that Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim would not become the Prime Minister. Now, this is it's a very unique, well, it's not really unique, it is politics. Now, for many people, working with enemies is something that is not a good thing, because we are all ordinary people. For us, white is white, black is black, and if you are a friend, you are a friend. If you're an enemy, you're an enemy. But that doesn't work in politics, and this is why many Malaysian citizens fail to understand when they criticize Anwar Ibrahim, how he does his work. Look at Mahathir. He worked with his enemy, Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim. And now, who is he working with? With Parti Islam Malaysia. Dr. Mahathir has said many stinging and even actually true things about Parti Islam Malaysia, to show that they are just a bunch of ustaz from the kampung, and that suggesting that, are we to trust this kind of people who only talk about halal and haram to actually run the country? Now, at the time that he was criticizing PAS had many progressive leaders. But now you see that Mahathir has been appointed by the Perikatan Nasional that consists of PAS to actually be one of the advisors for the 4 states that they were governing. So the ability to work with anybody, anytime, towards any purpose, I have learned throughout 20 years, is a necessary element or a necessary trait or character of a politician. Some of us aspire to be politicians. I've met many young people who are very good and they aspire to be a politician, some podcasters that I know. But I remind them that politics is not black and white. It is black and white in our heart, but when we are hitting the ground, it's like in a battle or in a war. You can plan the war this way or that way, but once you hit the ground, then a lot of things can happen that you need to think on your feet, and also need to re-strategize in order to achieve the desired end. Now, the fourth thing about Mahathir that I admire also is that he is probably the only leader who dares to criticize the Malays. Now, I've seen many leaders. Maybe I have not known Tunku Abdul Rahman that well, or Tun Abdul Razak. I have not read their speeches. But I have seen Tun Dr. Mahathir, Abdullah Badawi, Najib Tun Razak, even now Anwar Ibrahim. I've never seen anyone criticize the Malays as heavily as Tun Dr. Mahathir. Mahathir has been known to say that Malays have squandered their chances given by the Dasar Ekonomi Baru by not actually embracing the work ethics and the work culture that requires the race to be very good. I think in the present time, a lot of Malays have become professionals, and it is a far cry from the time that Tun Dr. Mahathir was ruling. But certainly, his ability to say that Melayu mudah lupa, Melayu, he keeps saying things like can't even work many hours like some of the other races. I've not seen that in any leader. All leaders would always, the leaders that I know in Malays would always praise the Malays, would always sometimes and most of the time talk about the special privilege. Now, of course, we've seen the idea that Tun Dr. Mahathir is playing around with the calling other people pendatang, reminding that Malaysia is not a multicultural country. These are all political games that he plays. Now, people say he is not being truthful and all that, but again, as I said, all of us are rakyat, all of us having a democratic responsibility, but all of us must remember we are not politicians. Once we are in the political game, you need to have a party, you need support, you need some help here and there, and this will definitely make us a different person, or appear to make us a different person. But this is the thing that we need to understand if we are to comment on any political actions or political personality. To be fair, politics is not what it seems to us. Look at what happened to Rafizi. He lost the election but actually won the public opinion. He's now criticizing some things that PKR is doing, but not in a manner of the Sheraton move. So there are many creative and strategic things in politics, like in a battle. When the Allied army wanted to invade Europe, they did some diversionary tactics. So this is part of the political warfare that most of us don't understand and don't appreciate. So Mahathir is one of the persons that understand this game very well. One other thing that I like about Tun Dr. Mahathir is how he tried to develop this Look East policy. Now, for a Malay leader to actually look at a country, number one, that is not Muslim, number two, a country that just colonized and put us in some kind of hardship, that is quite remarkable. He does not really take those things into his emotion, but he lets his thoughts guide him. And then he would say, look, they are working very hard, they have a work culture, they have a work ethic, which I think we should follow. Now, Mahathir failed to understand about the metaphysical relationship between the so-called cultural or might be religious idea of the Japanese in relation to their work culture. So he was trying to imitate the form, but he never understood the soul. And that's why in many respects, the work culture of being, say, embarrassed or shameful that you cannot fulfill your obligation, being proud of doing something very efficient, all this may not have been well done in terms of our civil service, although there are some of them who are very good. But I think in overall, many people may not look too kindly towards the civil service. I personally think that they have improved very much, but to say that we have totally embraced the Japanese work culture, I don't think so. Now, finally, I would like to also say that I respect Dr. Mahathir because of his love of reading, love of knowledge, and also, like me, love of writing. And to be able to read what he says, but of course in a critical manner, because it is all his perspective, and not many of them, some of them may not be something that we agree to. But he's the first Prime Minister to be known as having an official librarian to service him, and also he has left the office of Prime Minister and established his foundation with a building that ensures the propagation of intellectual discourse and also discussions that is supposed to center on knowledge, intelligence, critical thinking. But of course, there is also politics behind it. I like the idea of the Americans when each president retires or is no longer in office, they build a library. And now one of the biggest libraries and memorial, as well as a park, is being designed for Barack Obama. And I've looked at the design, and Obama says wanting to give back to the people with parks, with play areas, or with the community center that service. This is a remarkably wonderful thing. A lot of prime ministers live with wealth, but I think the idea of leaving the office and having a foundation that will continue the idea of training future leaders, as well as having a platform which is better than the influencers to actually talk about things rather than listening to some YouTube person talking alone and by himself or herself outside of the country and talking about things that they are never going to be. They're never going to be politicians. They're never going to be a leader. They're never going to be a civil servant. But they talk a lot about it. And to me, as an academic, I don't really think there is much credibility there. But many people seem to like it because it is a place for them to vent their anger and their discontent about a lot of things. So these are the reasons why I respect Dr. Mahathir. And as I said, having known him, there are a lot of things that I actually admire and also remember and give an example to young people in my speeches, in my classes, about what Dr. Mahathir thinks, views, and his strategies. But knowing also a lot of his negative things, I would not want him to be leading Malaysia a third time or any time. Not because of so-called mistakes, but there are things which he may blemish his heritage or legacy or record of great achievement, being a statesman. But I still think that he is still a great politician and someone who deserves for us to remember as a Malay leader with a character that does not actually use race or religion too much in terms of his political tactic, but just enough for him to survive. But he is, to me, known as a progressive thinker and a person that can actually carve a vision of Malaysia and of a Malay race that would be different and also successful. With that, happy birthday, Tun M. Thank you for your good service to the country.